Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Gotham City. I'm your host, Levy Rozman. This is a podcast where I talk to people who live in the chess world on the 64 squares and also beyond them. Today's guest in episode number 2 is QTCinderella. She is a streamer, she is a creator, and she has an eclectic mix of interests. She did play some chess in the Twitch PogChamps tournament in 2020, but we'll talk about a lot of things beyond that over the next hour and a half as well. I hope you enjoy. How are you?
Good. I'm excited.
Thank you for being the second guest. As I said when we were chatting before we hit record, I want this to be a chess and non-chess podcast. But
wow,
you,
professional chess player here, so
first of all, yes. For those that don't know, QTCinderella did dabble. Do you still play? Are you still playing? At all?
I do. I play every Tuesday and Thursday at 8 p.m.
That's your slot on Chess TV?
Yeah.
Dude, I used to love those streams. Chess TV is like supposed to be this family-friendly environment where like the game is broadcasted to an audience on chess.com, and then there's QT there every Tuesday, Thursday.
As soon as I go live, I'd always be like, okay, chess viewers, this is after dark. Welcome to the stream.
That's what it used to be with me, except it was 9 a.m. So it was like, it was bad. And my excuse for cursing was on Chess TV was always the fact that kids are supposed to be in school. So if they're watching chess, it's not my fault if they hear me cursing. You still on the grind to what's your rating nowadays?
900.
Okay.
So I'm on the grind to two. Like the 10-minute games?
Yeah, rapid.
Is that
okay.
rapid?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I would like to get better only because I have been so inspired by everybody's IRL chess streams. Listen, this is the thing that people need to realize about chess. And I know you have a lot of chess viewers, so it's important to say, you can love chess and still suck at it. You don't have to be good at it.
They
okay?
know.
Yeah. Okay.
We're all
Great.
in this. We're all in this together. Like
there's a lot of pressure. People are like, "Oh, you can't oh, you like chess, but you're only 900 rated." And it's like, okay. But I've been so inspired by the IRL chess streams. I was IRL streaming in Santa Monica a few weeks ago, and I stopped in a toy store and I bought a chessboard. And a few people came up to me and asked to play. And I kept losing, and I was like, "This feels bad."
Wow, they were like that strong that they could beat you.
It's the opposite of the Botez stream. It's like you come watch my stream to see your streamer lose, and you go watch theirs to be like, "Wow, they're good."
I don't know. I would argue people watch me to lose also.
That's true.
I purposely talk extra trash during my games so that when I lose, it's much more painful, and then I need to. Because you don't understand. Do you ever feel this way? When I play offline, I want to like break stuff, but when I play on stream, I can't. I have to behave myself.
No, I'm the opposite. That's my
okay.
issue. I can't tell you how many times I've been canceled on like #cancel QT. She's so toxic because I'm a bad loser.
Oh, that's
I'm a really
funny.
bad loser, and my kryptonite is a bad winner. Like one of those winners that still talks trash. Because there's this thing in my brain that just switches, and it's like I see red. I've talked to my therapist about it. Everyone relax. But I just see red and I lose my mind. Like
that's so funny. I'm the opposite. Like if I'm at home, Lucy and I will throw our phone. You know, we've had to like look at our case and be like, "Damn, this is bad." Especially when I start caring about the game, and what I mean by that is like I'm playing tournaments now mostly because I was peer pressured by a massive audience to do it, and also they liked my recaps. The recaps did good numbers on YouTube, so I'm like, all right, it's a win-win. I can like actually train. Go play over the board, make the recaps, everyone's happy. But now I have to care about my games much more. Like when I'm playing on chess.com now, it's totally different. It's me practicing my openings and getting to the positions. And then if I screw it up, it's like so much more painful because I'm not just playing on the toilet or in bed or wherever. So
I'm really looking forward to, I need a tournament for children or something like that, because I'm sure you've hit this, but I am getting exhausted playing the game. Like I play it twice a week for a few hours and I'm getting bored of it because I'm not getting better because I don't want to practice like learning new things because it's just a lot. And so I'm getting a little bored of it. And I wish I had something to work towards that, like, oh, I'm going to beat this person or I want to win this or something like that. So I don't have anything like that yet, but hopefully in the future I can find something.
It's really difficult to find the balance in chess. Enjoyment, taking it seriously, and actually getting better. Those you just, especially if you, did you learn chess as an adult? Did you learn it like a couple of years ago?
Yeah,
like,
you were the one that taught me chess, Levy.
That's wild. I probably knew that because wow, Stonewall OP.
Stonewall every single time. I still do it.
Stonewall till you die.
We have a Stonewall emote in my chat.
That's hilarious. Wow. Yeah, if I had to learn chess as an adult, I've said this a lot on stream, I think I would never play the game.
Yeah, it's very frustrating.
Cause I mean, it is so hard and it's so draining. And if it's not your career or you can't find a way to make money off of it, I don't know why you would ever do it. It is the worst.
It's funny though, because I'm the best one in my family now. Because like, obviously, you know, a family that never plays chess. And so we'll be playing board games and I'll randomly break out the chessboard and like beat everyone. And so my dad, I've heard him like bragging that I'm so good at chess. And I'm like, oh gosh, I just hope the wrong person doesn't challenge me. And then I disappoint my dad.
Your dad brags to others that you're good at chess?
Yes. I'm 900 rated.
I'm
like, oh boy, you should meet some of my friends.
That's really funny. My dad was 1400 20 years ago when he was teaching me, and he's 1400 now. Wow. So it's really consistent. He hasn't dropped any points. That's the optimistic way of looking at it. Back in the day, you know the London, right? London, like everybody learns the London at PogChamps and...
No, Levy, did you teach me the London? No, you didn't. So I don't know the London.
Okay, I see. It's one of these things.
These are my openings. My openings are called the Levy, and then my black opening is called the Danya. Those are my openings.
Okay. Which one scores better?
I'm always better on white. I don't tell Danya that, but I'm always better with white pieces.
You don't need to be a GM to be a good coach. Daniel, for what it's worth, I think one of the best coaches online and live. I mean, there's a reason he's I think he's considered the grandmaster in residence in Charlotte, North Carolina. Like he runs camps there, and he moved there just to teach chess at the club.
Oh my God, I didn't know that.
Yeah. So I remember when he was moving from the Bay Area. He lived in the Bay Area, I think, his entire life, and he literally moved to Charlotte, North Carolina voluntarily, which is impressive. No disrespect to Charlotte. I'm going to Charlotte.
To hang out with Danya?
No. Yes, if he's available and willing, but to play my next chess tournament. But wait. Train of thought. We were talking about openings.
Stonewall London.
Yeah, the London. So my dad was playing the London before it had a name.
Oh.
He used to just be like, yo, I like to make this queen pawn move and this bishop move right here. It's nice. It fights for the center. I was like, oh, that looks kind of cool. Now it's just the staple of all beginner and intermediate chess openings.
Wow.
Yeah. So
that's very cool.
Dad will text me about chess every now and then. I think most of the chess world, at least in the last year and a half, knows you from your famous PogChamps crusades and tirades. Were you the most hated person in the chess world for like a few days?
I think so, and they are so angry. What an angry group of people.
So how did it start? Was it like, did it start while you're streaming and then it
Yeah, it started. So what happened is I was in PogChamps, the Twitch tournament, not 2 years ago, a year ago.
Mm-hmm.
It was a summer tournament, and I think that's the reason they haven't invited me back, is because everyone hated me so much at that one. But I went live, and to be honest, I realized I'm a difficult person because I say things and I think things differently. Like if I kept saying, I hate chess. This is a stupid game. I hate chess. And for me, the reason I say that is just because I am frustrated. I obviously don't hate it because I'm spending hours and hours and hours practicing it. But when everyone only hears that she hates chess and everyone was calling me a bad student and disrespectful to my teacher. Like, for example, you and I had a lesson where I was like, if I lose, I'm blaming you. Like, it's all the teacher's fault. Like, totally joking around. I'm very, very sarcastic. I'm very, very, I like to make jokes. And then I go on into the tournament and I lose. And I said, dang it, Levy's the worst coach. Yeah. He sucks. Totally joking around. Totally
that was really rude, by the way. I really, You really hurt my feelings.
Me again, please. And so I got a lot of comments after that just saying, you're so disrespectful. You're so, people are very, very angry at me because they are not used to, I feel like they're used to people that are much more polite. And it was very interesting. Something I learned about the chess audience maybe is the first tournament I showed up in a dress and I had my makeup done and I curled my hair and I was as cutesy and Barbie as I could be. And that was, I just wanted to be pretty and I wanted to like, you know, I had a big audience watching me. But since I looked that way, a lot of the comments were calling me stupid and dumb and a blonde bimbo and all of these things. And I was like, that is so interesting. And so I made this conscious effort to the next time I showed up, my hair was back, very little makeup. I wore just like a black shirt. I tried to look as basic as possible. And there were less comments calling me stupid, even though I was the same exact person.
Yep.
It's just very interesting that like your appearance alone was so harshly judged by a community. And I don't think people don't realize because I'm very fun. I'm very outspoken. I try to have a bubbly personality, but I'm also very, very freaking smart. And I can talk like a sailor, but I can also talk to you about business. And I can talk to you about metrics and I can talk to you about 1,000 different things. But people don't see that in the chess community because you're bad at chess. So that means you're dumb. And it's like, it's very funny. And I especially think women have it harder from even what I noticed within a month of being a part of the community, and especially an outspoken woman. And there were a lot of things that I stood up for and I called out within the chess community, which made a lot of people uncomfortable, mostly men. But what it resulted in,
it's always going to be men. Yeah.
What it resulted in is a lot of females that have been in the chess community for years reached out to me and thanked me for saying what I said, because their career depended on them not saying it. Right. You can't complain. You can't talk about these things in this community that you've been in for 20 plus years. You just can't say those things. And so many women, some that I don't even know, women GMs, all sorts of them DM'd me and said, thank you so much for what you said on PogChamps today. And all I said was, hey, chess community, stop being sexist because it's absurd and it's not okay. And stop commenting on the way I look and that I'm stupid and blah, 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 all those things. Anyone can love chess, no matter how good you are at it. You can still love it. It doesn't mean you're stupid. Just means you haven't practiced it for years.
Yeah, it's funny. None of what you said is funny. What I'm
sexism. It's funny.
Yeah,
says Levy.
It's a great out of context quote there. It's what I always find. So first of all, and then I think just to add on really briefly, there was one of the interviews. I think you really looked forward to the interviews after the PogChamps games because you also were in very difficult groups. So you were going to lose and you were bound to go to the consolation bracket. So you were going to win maybe 1 out of 6 or 2 out of 6 at most. Because I think you had Connor in one of the groups, like the second PogChamps or something. So you were going to lose by default, right? Like in your bracket stage, and you would move to consolation. But so were a lot of the other people there. You just got the worst of it. And I think a lot of that did have to do with the fact that you were so outspoken and you're a female. Like that. That's the most...
It was very funny because I am such good friends with Connor. Connor is one of the best people I've met on the platform. And he goes by Connor Eats Pants. And I said on stream, I said more like Connor Eats Trash, which is clearly a joke, it's like, so bizarrely a joke. And it's not even funny. It's like a bad joke. And there were people in the chess community who were well, not trying to swear in the first 10 minutes of the video, but you're really tempting me, Levy. And there were people that DM'd me and they're like, you are so disrespectful telling a man to eat trash. And I was like, really?
Wow.
Really? Okay.
Wow.
All right. There was even things that like, I realize I can be a little crass and inappropriate at times, but I remember at one point, I was on Chess TV during my warm up and Hikaru pulled up Chess TV to like watch and was waiting for stream to start. And he saw it was me and he exited out. He was like, and I was so mad at him because it was just, come on, like that's the problem with the chess community is the gatekeeping. This is such a great game that you should want to grow, and it has in the past year more than ever before. Thank you, Netflix. Thank you, PogChamps. Thank you, so many different things.
Thank you, Netflix.
Yeah.
And thank you, QTCinderella. It was
not me.
Just the second reason.
Thank you, Netflix. Thank you, so many people wanting to try this. This is great and amazing. But it will not continue to grow if the community stays gatekeepy. I think it's important to, like, chess could be in the Olympics. I really think it could. I really think it should. And it never will if it doesn't become this well-known thing. You know, I think chess tournaments could be treated like NBA. I love watching chess.
Yeah, fast chess for sure. Classical chess.
No.
No.
Yeah,
no.
no one else wants that.
Well, the joke is that people just go to my recaps now. They don't even need to. They don't need to watch 5-6 hour games. I'll try to make it fun for them, crack some jokes, and move on. But
and did you go to the Las Vegas tournament?
Yes, I did. I'm very offended you didn't know the answer to that. But hold on, let me just. I'll address that in a moment. Okay. Yeah. So what I was going to say when I said it's funny, when I say it's funny, I am far and away, like, it's not close, the most outspoken chess creator. It's like me in the first 10 spots. I'm just gonna say that right now. Shout out to Hikaru, Rosen, the Botezes, Anna Kramling, Nemo, Anna Rudolph, the list goes on, Daniel Naroditsky, the chess. None of them are even remotely close combined. And I respect that, because on the one hand, if you never say anything that's going to offend or break people up, it's like Michael Jordan said, I'm pretty sure he said this, Republicans buy sneakers too, right? He said that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's... Yeah, that's one way of looking at it. On the other hand, no, some really awful people need to be called out for being really awful. I don't understand what's so wrong about that. And
yeah,
when I call people out for awful behavior, particularly toward women, because we're on the subject, 99% of it is just, it's just echoing that sentiment. Oh my God, this is such a terrible thing to say. But you always get a few people in there who just go, what are you talking about? It's just a joke. Like, what? You're so sensitive. You're such a snowflake. But it's always the men. It's always the men who say there isn't the problem. It's never the women. Like, I've never met a single woman who's like, actually, there's no gender gap.
You know, the best example of that is I had to lecture my Twitch chat about calling women sexy. I was like, by the way, like, unconsensually going to a woman and saying you look sexy, or commenting on her Instagram and saying you look sexy, is a very sexually charged comment. That is disgusting, and it's sexual harassment. And there's no woman that, if they are not selling that type of content, like Mia Malkova, yes, go call her sexy. She wants that. She needs that. That is her career. Go woman. But you know what I'm saying is, if you just come to my picture of me eating a piece of pizza and you decide to sexualize that and say, hey, sexy, then that is genuinely sexual harassment, and it makes women uncomfortable. And so many people in my comments were like, no, it's just a compliment. And I'm saying, well, no, because there's no woman, and I have many women viewers actually, who is agreeing with you right now. And you just need to listen. Yeah. You need to listen to the opposite perspective and just gain perspective. You don't have to change based on what I'm saying, but I hope you at least gain perspective. So then you eventually change, but you don't have to change.
Yeah, one thing I'm pretty vocal about also, I talk about this much more on Twitch than on YouTube. YouTube is just basically reserved for chess, is like, no one in my life sat me down and told me how to treat women.
Yeah, of course not.
Maybe over the years, my mom, who's pretty cool, let me take the train by myself when I was like 11, 12 years old, just as long as I like texted her or something. Maybe over the years it added up. Maybe she said like little things here and there, and I don't know, subconsciously it kind of added up. No one ever said, don't do this or don't say this. I just kind of live my life, and I was never compelled to do any of that stuff. But I know that growing up, for a fact in chess, it was still very much like, oh, that's the only girl in the class, you can't lose to her.
Yeah.
Or the opposite. Like, that's the only girl in a class. Oh, wow, she's like on a pedestal, you know, she's like...
she's so great, yeah.
Yeah, she's just like, why can't we just all be humans? And this ends up contributing to stuff like, I taught chess before I was a creator. girls would show up on the first day of class. There was one of them and 10 to 15 to 20 boys. They would leave. That was the one and only class they ever took, because even growing up, boys are just super rowdy. I think fundamentally it comes down to culture and schools. Like from what I've seen, all girls classes work 10 times better for girls to actually get a chess education, just because boys are just lunatics. And I was one of them.
Is you said you were never taught how to, like, you know, treat women, like, because they don't set you, you know, no one stops you aside and says that you do, but every single woman is taught growing up how to treat men, how to avoid men, don't make them angry, don't act angry in front of them, don't use a crass tone, don't do this, don't show too much skin, you need to show more skin. We're all told these things from a young age. We're supposed to cook for them, we're supposed to do this. And maybe this is just my perspective because I was raised Mormon, and so it's going to be much more under the patriarchy than most people.
What?
You didn't know that? Yeah, I was raised Mormon. And so, you know, I was definitely blanketed under the patriarchy for a very long time, but still every single woman is taught, don't show a man that you are mad at them. Don't show a man, like, because no one likes a mad woman, right? No men like a mad woman. They all just want this bubbly, perfect thing that serves on them and waits on them, because that's what society has taught them to look for. And that is what women have taught to do. That's why women have to go to their friends and gossip. But then if she's gossiping, then she's a gossip, and it's like this cyclical issue that's been created for years and years and years. And there's no winning right now. And I don't know.
Yeah, it's kind of frustrating because, to be honest, the way this gets pulled back to chess, just not because I'm desperately trying to do it for the sake of the show, but just because just really so people understand. Like Alexandra Botez, some time ago, I think in 2020, maybe in 2019, just straight up booted up a stream and talked about sexual harassment as a teenager in the chess world, like when she was a teenager, and how, what she's had to go through, and how if you're a young player playing for like an Olympic team of your country, oftentimes you will be very young, surrounded with adults. That's just how it works. I'll give you an example. I think the highest rated player in Canada, if it's not Nemo, aka Nemsko, it's this girl Miley J. She has a French name like Oulé or something like that. And I think she's like 17, 18 years old, but she's been the highest rated woman for like 5 years.
Wow.
She was the highest rated woman when she was 13. She could have played on the Olympic team, right? So when Alexandra was younger, she was the #1 player for Canada as a woman, and I think she was also a teenager. And that's why chess, it all gets mixed ultimately at like a place like the Olympiad, where everyone's just kind of hanging out and socializing. And yeah, you can be exposed to this crazy stuff at a super young age, and it's terrible. It's no other sport pits a 6-year-old girl with a 60-year-old man. Like, I have seen the anecdote that I always give. I have seen a man resign to a little girl who's like sitting on her knees on the chair because she can't see the board, and he resigns and he just like holds her hand and is just talking to her. Like, he won't let go of the handshake. And I had this, I didn't know what to do. I kind of was like walking by the playing hall because I wanted to go see my students' game. I'm like, he's gonna let go, right? And he did. Yeah, but as I was walking by, I'm like, am I supposed to say something? This is so weird. So, and maybe he meant super well, but that is so odd. Yeah. And yeah, the way you have to coach your audience on saying certain things to women, I feel like sometimes I have a relatively impressionable audience as well. It's probably about 96.5% male, and it's between the age of 13 and 35.
Great.
Luckily, I don't need to, hopefully, I don't need to teach the 20 to 35-year-old audience how to behave, but maybe I do. And I'm more than happy to do that. But yeah, and hopefully long-term, it starts from an early age that it can be 50-50 or 60-40 or at least like 75-25 in classrooms, and we can see stronger women at the top, and they don't need to go through a minefield to get there, and they probably will, because I don't really know how to teach men to behave, to be honest. But yeah, like, I've never catcalled someone in my life.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that right now. Not as a teenager, first of all, that's weird. That's so weird. But I knew people in high school who would get in their car and drive down the street to yell at women and drive away. That was a thing they did.
Yeah. And when I complain about it, people will say it's a compliment.
I know.
Like,
yeah.
You're being a jerk. And I said, well, the first time I ever got catcalled, I was 9 years old. I was 9 years old walking down the street and I got catcalled by a bunch of construction workers. You're telling me that's a compliment? Check your privilege, boys. I don't.
Yeah, I don't even.
That's predatory. That's what that is. That is predatory.
Yeah, that's disgusting. I hate that stuff. That stuff like makes me sick. It's one of the few things that straight up leaves me speechless. I'm just like, what?
So all I ask while I have the chess community somewhat of a platform is, just gain some perspective from this. You don't necessarily have to argue with it. Just gain perspective.
Yeah, it's a problem.
Yeah, I think it's important. It's a problem.
Yeah, just be better. I like to tweet out comments and be like, don't be like Ken. That was the most recent one. Ken was the most recent commenter. Said, I'm glad you put timestamps because it lets me skip past the Women's World Cup games. And people were commenting such funny stuff.
Oh my gosh.
They were saying, man, if you remove the names, he wouldn't even know. Why is he so offended that it's women playing? Plus, he's probably like 700. What is he so upset about?
I did a stream with Anna.
Which one?
Anna Chess.
Okay.
And the comments on her YouTube video were just atrocious. People were like, I can't believe someone of such high class like you, Anna, is associating with someone like QTCinderella.
Yep.
And Anna had to like post a comment that was like, how dare you? She's a good person. Like she's passionate about the game. She's this and that. And like, what a judgmental community.
Yeah, it doesn't help there's a culture barrier in many parts of the world. I mean, not everyone's gonna, a lot of people listening to this if you haven't skipped through the section yet, you probably will at some point. But I wanted to get your perspective from someone who went through it, and all of the strongest women who have ever played the game have gone through it as well. Sexual harassment, both physical and verbal. Yeah, and hopefully it goes away, but that's why I wanted to get your perspective. But
the cool thing is I'll talk about it. A lot of those women won't talk about it because it can damage their career. I don't care about my career in chess. And
me neither.
So I'm going to talk about it. And I feel great talking about it. And if it helps them in any way, then great, fabulous. That's my goal. So I will take the bullet for all my lovely women GMs out there that don't want to.
Well,
not literally, by the way. No.
Yeah. No, please. Wow, there's so many places to go. I mentioned that I taught chess before I was a creator, and I started streaming on Twitch in 2018. I didn't make my first YouTube video until basically like April, May. I made very minimal stuff, but my first real YouTube video of the modern era in 2020, in like May of 2020. Did you also start in 2018 streaming? What is your story too?
Yeah, I started streaming. My 3-year is August, so that's
2018 August.
2018. That's
it is
3
August.
years, right?
August what?
Oh wow, 14th. Yeah, so next week.
Oh, you started streaming after me. 6 months.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well,
that's crazy. I remember that it was wild west back then. No BTTV. I mean, it was wow.
I have so I started I was working full time at the time, and I would go home from work and I would play League of Legends for a few hours.
You were one of those.
And eventually I was like, wait a second, why am I not being, I've always been a person that likes to be as productive and efficient as possible. And so I was like, well, I'm playing this game anyway, and I'm feeling guilty about it because it's not, being conducive to being like a good human. I'm not contributing anything into the world. So let me go live and maybe, make some people smile, maybe at least make some money off of this. Maybe something, maybe I can just get something out of this. And so I went live, and I had I sat at around 20 viewers for the first 6 months. And then I got involved in Austin's community, and, met Mizkif, and went out to Texas, made a bunch of friends with streamers out there for a while.
You lived in Texas?
No, I just went on vacation. I went for, I think like 2 weeks the first time I went down, maybe a week or two. Made a lot of great friends. Those are still some of the best friends I have on the platform, are the people that I met in Texas. And then a few months later, met Ludwig. At the time, he had 300 viewers. I had 1,000, and I was farming him for content.
This is 2018 still, or 2019?
This is now 2019.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, because you said 6 months. Oh, this is like early 2019. Okay.
Yeah. So it's 2019. No, I met Ludwig for the first time in like over online in May of 2019, and then in person in July of 2019.
At some event, right? Like on the West Coast, or?
No, so I was an interior designer at the time, and Ludwig and I had been like hanging out a lot, just on Discord and stuff like that. I had a lot of friends that I'd hang out on Discord with after streams and stuff like that. And Ludwig and I would hang out a lot and talk or whatever. And I wanted to meet more people. And so, including him, of course, I'm trying to be coy here and not say like I was so excited to meet him or whatever, but I wanted to meet him and I didn't have a reason. And so I told him that I had to come out to LA for a job to interior design I don't even remember what I said. Anyway, I came out here, and then I was like, oh yeah, it got canceled, so I'm just here for the weekend. We should hang out. And then that's how we met in person, was because I lied.
So yeah, I was gonna say you didn't actually have a.
No, I had nothing to do here. But that's how we met in person. And then months later, we started dating, like months later.
Did you start dating digitally? Like
No.
Okay,
No,
so
no.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was gonna.
No, I could never.
One of those.
No, it was many months later. I was like, yeah, I can't even give you a date, because it was just like so long of like I didn't want to date because I had like just gotten out of a breakup, and I was very just like, my mind, I'm a healer. I need a lot of time to like really close doors before I can jump into anything. And then eventually, and maybe I'm sharing too much, but eventually he was like, okay, lady, you got to decide. And I was like, all right, like I can't lose you. So I guess here we are. And
adorable.
We've been happy ever since. So he's great. But yeah, that's my journey on Twitch, kind of.
When did you quit your job?
I didn't quit until COVID. So I didn't quit until summer 2020. So I've only been full time on Twitch for about a year.
Same.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I didn't. I gave my last private lesson June 2020. I was like, guys, this online thing is really kicking off, and I hate your child. So bye.
Yeah.
Sorry if you're watching, parents. I did not actually hate. Well, some of you just have the worst kids. This is the second episode now of this podcast. I'm making this statement, but I always said that teaching kids was the best form of contraceptive, because I knew I didn't want an offspring for a very long time. A dog is like the best.
Mm-hmm. And cats are even better.
Yeah, they don't. I mean, you just let them rock, and oh yeah, it has its perks. You get to hang out. You do get to shape a kid's life in a positive way, particularly if you see that things aren't great in other parts of their life, like in school or in family, and you can. But okay, like at the end of the day, I'm teaching very wealthy Brooklyn kids. They're fine.
Yeah, they're fine.
Good. They're good. They're learning chess. Manhattan and Brooklyn. Listen. There was a period I was teaching like a Russian kid in a Manhattan school who was getting picked up in a bulletproof Mercedes. Like we're talking oil tycoon money.
Yeah, you were training the mafia is what you're doing.
Yeah, and this kid was awful. This was an awful child.
Oh, gosh. You shouldn't say that. Those are the kids you shouldn't call awful.
He was a great kid. I never said he was awful. They don't know that I can edit this out. I won't.
Right.
But Yeah, I gave my last lesson in 2020, and it's
been a whirlwind for you.
It's been crazy.
Got sucked up into it.
It's been crazy for chess. I wouldn't trade it for the world. It's unbelievable. Like I made a joke earlier, you said PogChamps. It cannot be stated what Netflix did for chess. 70 million households and counting have seen that show. Are you kidding me? It
was a beautiful show too.
It was great. And I had to watch it early. I had to get on it because I could make the content and farm the views. And yeah, it's pretty nuts. But how did you know you were gonna have financial security? Were you already doing well enough on?
It's so interesting that you ask that. So something about myself is I got my first job when I was 13. So I grew up in a very, very poor family. And so I've been working my whole life, and I love a 9 to 5. I really do. When I'd finish school, I would go to practice of whatever I was doing at the time. And then right after that, I would go home, or I would go straight to retail. I worked in retail, and I'd work until like 10 or 11 p.m. And then I'd wake up 7 a.m., go to school, and repeat. That's what I did every single day. I worked 40 hours a week, even through high school. And when I graduated high school, when I was 18, I got promoted in the retail. I became like this hiring manager at the time, and then like slowly moved up that chain. Took some breaks to go do things. Like I worked at Disney for a little bit. I worked on a cruise ship for a little bit. But I'd always fall back into retail. And by the time I quit retail, I was in corporate management. And then I quit because I really wanted to be a cake designer. Since I was, crazy, right? Since I was 16, I was decorating cakes. I really, really loved it. I watched Ace of Cakes and Cake Boss, and I just really wanted to make cakes.
Can I just, I don't want to cut off the cake train of thought, but just so people understand, what were you getting paid? Like in high school or corporate management or?
Yeah. So by the time I quit, I was getting paid $75,000 a year.
That's not bad. That's
not bad, but I quit to go make about $8 an hour.
And you were getting $8 in high school, probably, right?
So back when I started, my very first job when I was 13, actually, was I got paid $10 a day. I worked at a Boy Scout camp.
As a girl?
Uh-huh.
How does
I've always been playing in a man's field. It's something about myself.
Wow.
As a girl, I was able to get a job at a Boy Scout camp because my grandpa was really, really into Boy Scouts. Again, it's part of the Mormon community, and in Washington, there's a bunch of Boy Scout camps, and I was able to work at a Boy Scout camp, and it was really great. It was fun, but $10 a day, but it teaches work ethic more than anything else, and so that got ingrained in me. And before I quit corporate, I would go into the bakery. This is also a funny thing. I didn't get the cake designer job when I applied for it. A lot of people think I did, but I didn't. I wasn't that good, actually. I remember I spent all weekend making this portfolio with all of my cakes, and then I showed it. I went to my interview really excited, and they were like, "No, this isn't it." And I was devastated because it was like my dream at the time. And then they were like, "Well, you could come just work on pastries. You could do pastries." And I was like, "Okay." So I would go into the bakery from 5 to 8, and then I'd go to my 9 to 5. I'd go home, sleep. I was just a workhorse. It was very impressive. I think about it now, and I'm like, how did I do that?
Did you do it because it gave you structure, or you didn't have to be at home, or you made money, which was exciting, or?
It kept me, it made me feel fulfilled because I had my corporate structure job, and then I had my creative job, which was the pastry. But then I would every single weekend, I would make dummy cakes. And so what that is these cakes out of styrofoam. So I would decorate them, and I would take them into my boss and be like, here you go. And eventually she's like, okay, you can do the wedding cakes. So I got promoted to $10 an hour instead of the 8. And I quit my $75,000 job, and I was like, here we go. And it was hard because it wasn't full time, wedding season isn't all year. And I was on food stamps for a while. I could barely afford my rent. It was very, very scary for me. I was looking for different jobs just to be able to make it through, and then just slowly worked my way up to head pastry chef. And then took the jump from pastry to interior design.
Why? just
I noticed I have like a 5-year threshold on what I'm interested in. So I just got exhausted.
Long span ADHD, or?
Yeah, it must be. So I was just exhausted by the pastry situation, you know, because it's you can't leave if you haven't made like 1,000 cookies for the next day. So, and it depends on orders and stuff like that. So it just got chaotic, and I wanted something more. I didn't feel like I was like really utilizing myself to my full abilities. And so then I got an assistant job at the interior design, moved up there. When I left, I was the lead designer of a department, and I was designing gorgeous homes. Did that up until COVID hits, and no longer can you be going into homes. No longer can you be managing contractors to go into homes. And so business went down by 87%. There's no one is doing anything.
Yep.
And I was commission based at the time. At the time I was making about 200,000 a year. But then commission is going down because of COVID. And I was looking at things and I was like, wow, this is the only time in my life where I can decide, do I want to fully invest in myself and think to myself, Cutie, you can do this stream thing, you can manage it and it'll be fine. Or do I want to like stay through the thick of it and do the same amount of work? Because what people do is they were just moving their jobs 2 years ahead, but you don't get commission for 2 years ahead, right? You don't get paid out for those homes until they get finished. And so I finally made the decision that it was like now or never. And I quit, and it was like heartbreaking because it was a big mental shift for me, because I've always correlated some of my self-value into my work ethic. It's always been like,
yeah. I have the same with chess, actually.
Yeah, it's so weird. Like my dad would be like, Blair's very successful and she works really hard. And now I'm quitting to become some weird internet person. Like, what is this? And so
actually, well, God, I have so many questions.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, wait, just so this one's fresh. So you said when you say you're quitting a job to be an internet person, was that what you thought it looked like, or were your parents like, what the hell?
That's what I thought it looked like.
Okay.
I never had a lot of, this sounds so weird. It's just because of the way I was raised. I was raised very traditionally. So I saw a 9 to 5. That's the job. Doesn't matter about money. That's just how the system wants you to live, right? You get the white picket fence, you have the job, you have the da-da, and I'm already breaking that because I'm a career-oriented woman. And so I was never going to be a domestic. I'm very domestic. Obviously I cook and I do all that stuff, but I just never saw myself as like a housewife or a stay-at-home mom or anything like that. So that was already kind of breaking the mold. Mm-hmm. And so for me to quit such a great high-paying job where I had authority and I had kind of everything that I could ever want to pursue something else, as frivolous as something like whenever I introduce myself to people, like they're like, oh, what do you do? I don't know what to say anymore.
Yeah.
Like it used to be really cool.
I say YouTube and that's it. And then we leave. But it's weird because I don't.
I'm you think of YouTube and you're like Logan Paul, and I don't want to be associated with Logan Paul. Like, so I don't even say I'm a YouTuber. I say I play video games professionally. That's not even true. What is that?
That's you lying. What are you lying?
No, well, technically I do, right? I get paid to play Mario. I get paid to play League. I get paid to play chess.
Do you get paid to bake cakes and watch clips, or?
Yeah, I get paid to do that too.
Okay. So you get paid to turn the camera on.
Yeah, I get paid to turn the camera on. So I'm technically an influencer, but
I'm so for my own sake, and I'm maybe for other people as well. I come from a family of Russian Jewish immigrants. So they came to the States. They got degrees in the Soviet Union, PhDs in physics. It's very traditional. So my grandparents weren't allowed out of the Soviet Union in the 70s, late 70s, because they had physicist backgrounds. So they had state secrets, quote unquote. That was
gosh.
That was the excuse the Soviet. Whereas I have another branch of the family that's medical. They're doctors, and they were allowed out, and they were able to build wealth here for about 12 years. So they're all millionaires.
Oh, great.
Hi family. They're all doing great. They all just have a line of doctors in the family. They have like, you know, they were able to.
Oh, so you were supposed to be a doctor, weren't you?
Well, no, but if my grandparents were computer scientists and they were allowed out 10 years earlier, they could have been there when Google was made. That was the story of the co-founder, like something small like that. But because they had to come 12 years later, there's no physicist jobs. Medicine is medicine, but there's no physicist jobs. So they were seamstresses. They walked with the elderly to make money. They were janitors, and then they finally like built themselves up. But because I'm not from a poor family. I'm not from a rich family, but I'm from a family that built itself up for.
Okay, so you're not from the doctor family.
No.
Oh, I thought you were saying you were from the doctor family. I was like,
no,
why don't they
no,
accept you as a doctor?
No.
Okay.
I'm saying I'm from the.
You're from the family that built themselves up. You were the opposite.
Yeah, and so my whole life, there has been the element of the. Am I supposed to do the books? Am I supposed to focus on the chess? This and that, and am I supposed to? I was always very conflicted because I would try to go for the career in post-academics, banking, something like that. And chess was always there on the back end. So when I started teaching chess, they were like, you're not going to get health insurance. And even though I spent my entire life at important moments getting advice from my family, because they've gone through everything and they learned it as immigrants, which is obviously harder, at some point I'm like, I'm done listening to you guys. I'm going to make my own decisions. And you're just going to have to trust that it's fine and I'll be financially okay and I'll figure out the healthcare and I'll figure out the job security and all that stuff. So I'm curious, you said that you were working from the age of 13. Mm-hmm. What does that look like in terms? You can't rely on your parents for career advice. You can't maybe rely on them for, I mean, things like that, or can you? I mean, is there?
Yeah, no, I very much so can. The thing is my my dad owned a landscaping company my whole life. And so he worked, he was a worker. So that's why it was instilled in me is I work.
Oh, I see.
And I work hard and I earn my money and that's the only money I get to spend. And so, you know, if I wanted new toys, I had to earn that money. I remember even just being young, going with him and pulling weeds and he'd give me like 10 cents every weed I'd pull. And so I'd end up with like $20 for the day, you know? And
wait, so I'm a little perplexed because I guess when people say they grow up poor, the next thing when they say that their dad owns a landscaping company, I'm like, why doesn't he's not landscaping for the whole town? Like he's like, that sounds awesome. So,
you know, I don't know. It was, he was doing his best. My parents went through a divorce when I was 8.
Me
my
too.
Mother, 8. Yeah,
I was 8.
It's a fun age to get your life rocked. My mother had a spending problem. She really, I don't know what she was spending on, but she was, we were always in debt. I remember we were always remortgaging the house. We were always doing stuff like that. And my mom died about 5 years ago, which is another reason that I started streaming because I needed someone to talk to because I didn't have her to call anymore. And when she died, most people are like, oh, when my parents die, I'm going to get life insurance or whatever and blah, blah, blah. Not when your mom has a spending problem. I think each of the kids, we had to pay about $5,000 just because she died in retribution to other stuff. And that doesn't include her life insurance policy that paid back everything else. And so, you know, there's just a mix of my dad working hard and my mom having not the best habits. And so, yeah, it was just instilled in us from my dad very much. So you just freaking work. And so it's good. I think it's been good for me. I think I've never hit much of a burnout until COVID and kind of having that quarter life crisis of quitting my job that I felt like defined me and all of those things. But
good job too. Sounded like you said 200K.
Great. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's sick. Wow. But to be an interior designer, do you need some degree or do you need what do you?
So you can go to school for interior design, but I was just certified. So you can get certified through different things. You can also get extra certifications. So I had those, but most of it is just in work learning, right? A lot of it is kind of natural aesthetic, natural choices. Everyone has their own taste. I don't think taste can be taught, actually. You can it can be refined, but it's hard to be taught. You have a natural eye for things is what I've learned throughout, like having assistants and people beneath me. And It's hard to teach
in houses or anywhere, taste in anything.
In houses, I think.
My dream has always been to get a house and hire like a designer and make it look, because I don't know what the hell to do with empty space. It's really, as you can see, it's just the same table. But oh well, you actually have the camera that sees the whole room, so I
see your whole room. There's a lot we could do there.
Yeah, don't tell. Well, here's the problem. I ordered a standing desk and it's broken. And my whole setup is supposed to be on that side of the room.
Okay.
On the desk, but it's broken. So I'm waiting for a part to be shipped, which is now a week late, to fix the desk, move this entire setup over there, put a carpet down, put a little couch down on this side.
We love that. Okay.
And then put this table, as all the stuff is on that table, is going to sit on this table. It's also going to be my chess study table. So the whole room can't move to the leg.
Until you get that piece. Yeah. All right. Once it's done, you have to send it to me, and then I'll tell you if you need to do anything else. I can help you.
I can submit it to your stream, the interior design thing. Yeah, I didn't know.
I did that yesterday.
I had no idea that you even did that. The same way you didn't know I went to Vegas, which is really...
Well, okay. Relax. Number one, you were tweeting that you're going to Vegas, and then I was like, I'll go to Vegas too. And then you were like, they're 6-hour matches, and I was like, never mind. Yeah. And I thought you were talking yourself out of it too in that instance. No,
I played. I beat a young prodigy.
Wow.
Yeah, I beat like a kid who's going to be a grandmaster in a few years. It was one of my nice games. It was really draining. I was like posting. Did you ever see my tweet of my bloodshot eyes?
Yeah.
Yeah. How'd
you
know
that? I didn't realize.
That was from Vegas.
I didn't put 2 and 2 together. I was just like, man, he's stressed.
No, that was chess tournaments. Now I'm
doing a lot going on though. Like you had your house broken into. You had
that was after Vegas.
I know, but the last few months, I feel like it's just been chaos. You were arguing with someone on the internet about cheating.
Oh my God, that was 5 months ago. Yeah,
that was a saga.
I was at the gym a few days ago and someone recognized me, and he didn't know what to say. And sometimes when they don't know what to say, they really say some stupid stuff.
Oh, no.
And listen, guy, if you ever listen to this, it's all good. I'm just making fun of you. He walks up to me and he goes, you still fighting with that Indonesian guy? I was like, bro, it's been 4 months. Like, you couldn't have come up with anything better.
Oh, no.
Hey, I heard your house got broken into. Like, oh, that's all right. That house... We upgraded from a tiny 1-bedroom and office apartment, basically, to a nice place. It was a nice place. It had multiple floors, which is crazy to get in New York City. And it was more money, and it was nice and quiet little street. And it got broken into. And yeah, we were going to have our separate spaces on separate floors where we could do our own thing. And yeah.
And do you think it was targeted or...
You know, it's really upsetting because it's been on our mind for so long that we're so done. We haven't really thought about it because we're so happy where we are now. But
yeah,
it's the only thing I can imagine because before us, 4 men lived in that apartment. There's no way it wasn't targeted. It wasn't that it was me. It was maybe that they saw us moving.
Yeah.
I don't know. They saw.
It was thought out.
Yeah. They saw construction or something being done there for the first few days. Yeah, or we actually have a theory that we were tipped off by a furniture mover. So some furniture delivery guys who came and installed some stuff, and I tipped them because I tip everybody like more than they need to be tipped because I'm just more money in the middle class is good. You know, economy keeps spinning. People like need to be tipped more. I think one of them was like, "Wow, this guy tipped us, and it's just the 2 of them in this big place."
Oh, dang.
That's my theory. But we're more confused because that was the first day in a year and a half Lucy left the house. So what did that guy... I mean, was it a coincidence?
Oh.
Did the guy... But the other thing is, when the guy was approaching our house looking suspicious, I was leaving the house. If I didn't leave the house at that moment, he would have just been outside the house, right? He wouldn't have gotten in the house. So I told him to buzz up my...
so bizarre.
Everything about it is weird. And we spent some time ruminating, and I'm ruminating on it now, but we'll never know. And the cops here don't do anything, so...
Yeah, well, I know that feeling. Big city.
Yeah, speaking of which, how's Los Angeles?
It is its own world.
I love it. So I'm not going to say for what, but I'm actually leaking something right now. I was there recently. I can't say for what.
Why didn't you tell us?
I actually didn't even realize that you were there.
You're such a brat.
No, I didn't actually realize that you lived in LA.
Yeah. Yeah, you should have told us. We could have done something. You could have.
In my defense, I was there for like 18 hours. So
okay,
then
that's a good defense because I probably.
It would have been tough. Other thing is, I don't know if people like me. I don't know if they want to hang out with me. That's the other thing. I like, it's all online and it's all great. But you have to understand something. I'm coming from the chess world. If we had an option, none of us would hang out together, okay? None of us. I'm just gonna tell you right now. I'm gonna tell you right now. And if they're if any of them hear this and they're like, that's not true, it's true. Don't lie to anybody. It's 100% true. Except Eric Rosen. Everybody would hang out with Eric Rosen. Are you like mind boggled right now?
I'm mind boggled. This is so weird. We would love to hang out. I would love to hang out.
Except Alexander and Andrea. Like I think. Like, we hung out recently.
Yeah, so they're very friendly.
They're cool. But I think everybody else hates one another.
Wow.
Yeah. So.
Yeah.
Anyway, I was there very, very briefly. Very briefly. And oh my God, it has such a. I'm really sorry for what I'm going to say. It has such a vibe to it. Doesn't it?
No, I hate it here.
Do you?
Yes.
Why do you hate LA? It seems it's so much better than New York City. It's so warm.
Sure it's always warm. It's always sunny. It's always warm. There's no seasons. Where are the seasons?
Oh, that's your problem. Oh, dude, no.
Yeah, it never rains. A leaf never falls. It's always just hot. It all looks the same. Every day is the same.
I see. Yeah.
Everybody's super judgmental of how skinny you are, how tall you are, what you're wearing, what brand you're wearing. It's like, I just want to go to ice cream. Wait, this isn't an ice cream place. This is some sort of paint shop or something. I can't even I tried to go to a doctor. I wanted to go to a doctor's appointment. I showed up. It was a med spa. I needed my blood drawn. I need to know if I'm pre-diabetic, and I show up and it's a med spa. They're like, do you want any Botox? And I was like, no, I just want to know if I have diabetes. Like,
oh my God.
I hate it here.
I hope you're not pre-diabetic. I thought I had hypoglycemia.
I'm a hypochondriac, so I think I have everything.
That's not hypoglycemia. Hypoglycemia is a real thing.
I know that's a real thing, but I'm telling you, if you tell me what hypoglycemia is, I'm going to think I have hypoglycemia.
Why did you think you were pre-diabetic? I think I'm gonna have a problem with blood sugar, by the way. Like, so yeah. I'm not asking to be nosy. I'm serious. Like, why?
It runs in my family, like crazy.
Okay. Yep.
And I was just having kind of like dizzy spells. And so I was like, this is it. This is what's coming. So
I have days where drinking a soda makes me feel better. So I don't know what that means with blood sugar. I don't know if that's pre or post, or like I will feel dead. I drink a Sprite, back to normal. And so I think it has something to do with weird blood sugar stuff, but
it could be.
I'm terrified of needles, so I don't know when I'm going to get blood tested.
Oh, and you have to get that blood test. You have to get it fasting for 24 hours.
Do you?
Mm-hmm. And so it's like a pretty like you have to like you can't just show up to the doctor and they're like, okay, let's get your blood test. Like, and they're like, okay, like you have to like literally prep for it. Maybe it's not 24 hours. I think it's 12 hours, but it felt like 24 hours.
That's so bad. Yeah. Oh, that's really interesting you say that about LA. I guess the grass is always greener because I was there and I'm like, dude, people here have a house and a pool for what you could get in New York City for a large bedroom in a nice building. So yeah, I would never. I'm not a big city girl. That's another issue. Is I prefer just like. Well, LA's weird because you need to drive everywhere. Right? Like in New York, I could get on the train outside of my house and I'm somewhere in 20 minutes. That's on the other side of the city. So, well, and it says your phone will say 6 miles, but it's a 45-minute drive. And you're like, great. In New York? No, in LA. Oh, because of traffic. Yeah. Yeah. Same here. Yeah. The road system is so awful. Like, because it was one of the first like layouts ever built because it was a booming city, and so they just like threw highways in, and they can't change where those highways are now to make something more usable, and so it's just I don't know. That's okay, that's a fair point. But LA is one of the few places when I look at tax calculators and they'll charge me more than I get charged in New York, but I'm really you're saying I shouldn't really consider it?
No, I mean, you could. I need some friends out here. So if you and Lucy want to come to LA, I'll take it selfishly. Come on, it'll be fun.
Is there a
sunny
big,
all the time?
is there big creator hangouts? What is?
No.
No.
Well, maybe I haven't personally been invited to any. I think there are some. This is something that I kind of touched on pre-call, but it's very interesting being in this world. So I have more streamer friends in Texas, a lot of streamers in Texas I'm really close with. And so they do big streamer hangouts, and I'm planning one with them because we did one last year or last beginning of the summer, and then I'm in charge of the end of the summer one, and we just kind of switch back who's in charge of it. But it's the same group of people and blah blah blah. But and I think about it, and it's very normal for me to like include Ludwig in that group because they feel more like my friends than they feel like I'm collaborating, right? But there's been multiple interesting like occasions where like Ludwig will get invited to things with LA streamers or content creators, and I won't get invited, and I can't be invited. It can't be like, oh, bring your girlfriend to, like, we're all going to go get ice cream, bring your girlfriend. I can't be invited because it is more of like a networking thing, or it's going to be on stream, or it's a vlog or whatever. And so like there's this really weird social dynamic of like dating someone that's also on the platform when it comes to collaborating, because you think like, oh, getting dinner, getting ice cream, that's just hanging out, but it's not in this world. And so it's like he was invited by these content creators because they want his chunk of the pie, right? They want him to represent his chunk of the pie, and they don't care about my chunk of the pie because it's not relevant to them, and that's fine. But it's this very interesting dynamic that I've noticed, and there's nothing I can do about it. It's just a weird thing to have to like navigate in a relationship because you're not used to that, because normally you go to work, that doesn't include your significant other, but if there's a work dinner or work party, of course you're bringing your significant other, right? But work in this genre can be going paintballing, it can be going on a bike ride, it could be anything like that. And so it's a very weird thing to have to like wrap your mind around.
Yeah, that is man, I feel like that would,
it's hard.
I guess you just learn to deal with it. I feel
like I felt very left out for a lot, and there's still moments where I'll like hear he's going to something, and I feel like, and it's hard as someone that like, again, I one of the biggest insults that I get is when people only think of me as Ludwig's girlfriend.
I was gonna ask you about that, but I don't want to be like a shit stirrer or something, you know.
No.
But well, I was gonna have a hater segment, the kind of criticism we get. I know you get a lot of that, and then I didn't know this, but I saw it on Reddit. People were saying that you were 3 times the size, like back in the day, and what? That's wow.
Yeah,
that says a lot about his growth, right? So I don't.
Yeah, his growth is, and that's the thing is, I am obviously, you can't even tell you how freaking proud I am of him and how much he's done and what an inspiration he is to me as a content creator and just as a person. Like he is really, really great, works really, really hard, is very, very creative, has charisma of like a freaking president or something. Like I don't know, someone with a lot of charisma, Brad Pitt. I don't know. But so he's very inspirational in a lot of ways. So when people say that's an insult to me, when people think I'm just Ludwig's girlfriend, they're like, wow, you're not proud to be his girlfriend. And no, that is not it. It is hard for me, who has been someone who has the work drive that I have and the work ethic that I have. And I want to be Pokimane. I want to be Valkyrie. I want to be big. I want to be known. I want to be someone that people look at as a successful female streamer on the platform. That's what I want to be. I don't want to be known as some guy's girlfriend because he's more successful than her. And so it's really, really sad. But at the same time, it's like, I have this internal balance of being sad by it, but also knowing that it's great for him. And so it's kind of a struggle because I am very, very happy for him. I'm very, very proud of him. And, but it's just hard because it's nothing I've always wanted to represent myself and represent my own work. And so it's interesting for sure, but it's fine.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I was thinking to ask you kind of similar on this subject. The point of a podcast, we can be positive for an hour and a half.
Yeah.
Or we can talk about life struggles. That is really fascinating because Lucy and I moved in together right when COVID basically hit. And then I moved into her place essentially. And then in July of COVID in 2020, we got our own place. And obviously now we just moved again. And she's not a creator, but our dynamic is kind of like we're gonna use the growth of all this to fuel everything we want to do for the rest of our lives essentially. Mm-hmm. And we just kind of have like split responsibilities for the most part, whether it's just taking care of our culinary needs, and I can just be an internet degenerate on the screen. I can make a clip at 11 a.m. 11 p.m. I can stream, I can make content, I can prep for my tournament, whatever. But we try to fill gaps accordingly. But yeah, it's tricky because on the one hand, financial security is great, and it's if one person is responsible for it, that's fine, and it kind of gives the other person the freedom to either mess around with different stuff in career or try to progress in this one and not really stress too much. But it's odd for sure. The strangest thing to hear it from you, like what you just described, is we do like everything together. If one of us is going to a friend's hangout, we just bring the other because why not? We're like very rarely, you understand? But yeah,
it's really weird. The perfect example is, and it's relevant because my chat was talking about it yesterday, is Bella Porch, who's a TikTok star, and she just did a music video.
I didn't even realize that. Yeah, I saw that. Ludwig was the doorman. Yeah.
Yeah, Ludwig's in it, and a lot of content creators are in it. You can watch it. You saw like Tommy in it. You You know, you saw Toast. You saw Aiden Ross. There was a ton of content creators in it, and so the stream comes to me and they're like, "Cutie, are you in it? Are you in it?" And it's like, no, I'm not, because I don't have a million followers on Twitter. I don't have 20K watching me. I'm not. I don't get invited to those things, and that's okay. And you have to accept it. But it's very interesting when you're in the same field, but you're also dating, that there's always like, he is more relevant than me. And I have to accept that and live with that. And then also be proud of him, because I am, but then also use that. Like, I like to push myself, and I hope that one day I'm relevant enough to get invited to those things. But it's a very interesting social dynamic to have to kind of navigate around, but it's fine. I think the only reason that you'll see my viewers argue it a lot when I get referred to as Ludwig's girlfriend or whatever. They'll always be they'll be the first ones to comment like, well, she had more views, blah blah blah, because a lot of hate I get is people will come and be like, you're just using Ludwig for the views. Like, Nope. I had my own thing. I actually would love my own thing. I've always been like the breadwinner of every relationship I have. And I think that does come from, growing up underneath the patriarchy and really wanting to like prove my own. And it's almost disheartening sometimes. And like some of the things that Ludwig and I, like, not real arguments, but like I talked about that, it's called Shit Camp, where Milena hosted one in Texas, and then so I'm hosting the LA version, and it cost me about $16,000 already, which put my checking account at $0 after dropping $16K on a rental property, for this event. And so Ludwig was like, "Hey, do you want me to split it with me? Do you want me to just pay for it? I'll just pay for it. And I'm like, no. And then it was, I'll just split it with you. And I'm like, no, because this is my thing, And at the same time, it's like, yes, I would love help, but at the same time, no, this is my thing. Like, he's going to benefit from it, but it's my thing. And so it's like, it's this constant struggle of like being in a partnership, also being in a business, and also, so I don't know, but.
Yeah. Lucy and I have sometimes joked that, we would do like the ninja thing, and she was like, I'd be your manager. I was like, are you nuts? Yo, girl, like, go kick some ass and go become like a data savant, and I'm like, I'll retire in like 5 years and I'll play chess tournaments, and
it works really well for a lot of people.
You can be the data engineer of the family, and I'll make my YouTube income and we'll vibe, So it's I think the hardest thing about it is I wouldn't say like way back you said you have the 5-year span. The digital content creation, particularly Twitch, really just like destroyed my work ethic in the sense that you just can click start and just be a total moron for 4 hours. And that's like a thing. But YouTube, you record for 50 minutes, you cut it down by half, you edit it really nicely, and it's a nice chess video. And maybe in the long run, if you have a good title and it's good for the algorithm, it'll have like 1 million views. That's like, that's why I really liked making the chess videos more, because I could put the best version of myself together, good research here. I'm not just sitting here and vegetating for 4 hours. Because a lot of like the Twitch boom, I don't know about you guys, but like I didn't go to the gym for 1.5 years. I gained like 10 to 15 pounds. Yeah. Is that even a thing in LA? Can you get away with that? Or like do you have to exercise?
I gained so Ludwig and I are the same. We actually didn't move in like officially together until like July, like COVID. Yeah, COVID July. And COVID did a number on me. I gained 20 pounds from COVID, and I still haven't lost it. And I've been working out like I just got a Soul Cycle bike in our garage.
You mean you got COVID?
No, because of just sitting at home and quitting my job, I'd walk around all day. I had a like stand up desk. I had this and that, and I was much more productive. Because when you have to go outside to go to work, then you can stop at the grocery store and you're less likely to just order, and you can stop and get your coffee, and you can stop, and it's like just so much better for your mental health. I think really one thing, my biggest downfall with Twitch, and I say this all the time, is I really can't handle it mentally. I can't handle not having the structure. I can't handle being bullied every single day. And it's sad because I'm such a creative person and I'm such a self-driven person, but I've almost lost some of that ability because of like the negative repercussions of streaming on Twitch, or streaming in general, I guess, being live, being available 24/7.
Oh yeah. The stuff they write in the chat, it affects you. Yeah.
And some people are like, oh, just don't read it. Duh. Right. Just delete it, just ban it, just whatever. But it's a little ice pick every single day. Yep. Every single day. Yeah. Hammering on your head.
I've definitely had streams I left like angry. The worst example of this for me is really stupid. It's Overwatch. Like I haven't played Overwatch in a very long time. It wasn't even deliberate. It just sort of happened. I just kind of stopped playing. But I was playing like every day a little bit for a while, and this is just a way to kill some time. And I would have bad interactions in voice chat a lot because it's Overwatch. But once I made my GothamChess account just to have it and potentially play one day on stream, I couldn't say awful things back to people. When I had my anonymous account, if they pipe, I said things that, of course, I mean,
you have gamer moments. It's okay.
It was fair game. So, but when I was GothamChess, I had to say things like, your parents like separated, or is that where this anger comes from? I have to like do the psychological warfare. I can't actually just like swear and be disgusting. And I've had days like I've left that game like really angry, really unhealthy anger, or just someone said something and like I couldn't beat them in an argument. They were too much of a degenerate. They kept interrupting me, or I was like, I gotta stop doing this. This is just, why am I letting this? But in I don't know if you have this, but in chess, in Twitch chess, we've had people make hundreds of accounts. And they clearly have mental problems, but we've had a guy
just to play you.
No, to insult us.
Oh.
And they will write the same looping insults because it's a mental problem. Okay, normal person. Normal is like, I don't want to use that word, but I'm just saying that clearly that person needs help. Yeah. That's not. And so I have a few routes. I have just the auto ban route. I have the feed their hate and kind of banter with them, and the other one is like, hey man, I hope you get some help. But yeah, I've probably banned the same guy who writes the same strings of insults 200 times. 300 times. I mean, that's what we have. And we used to have a guy who would just make mass shooter usernames.
Wow.
Child predator usernames. The guy mass criminals, he would come in and that would be his username with some numbers afterward, and he would just be like, that would just hang out in the chat.
You're like, great, thanks so much. Yeah,
Yeah.
I've slowly separated myself from it. So I don't manage any of my YouTube accounts because I can't look at the comments. I really can't do it. In fact, if sometimes my guy who manages it, if he sees me reply to a comment, he's like, "What are you doing? Like, stop it! Like, get off! You're not. You can't look. You cannot look." And I'm like, I know. I just I'm passing off my Instagram.
Wow.
I can't I literally can't handle it. It's too much. And people, the worst excuse, and I'm holding people accountable again. People always say, "Well, you're public facing on the internet. You should expect it."
Yep.
No, I don't expect it. I expect people to be human, and I expected them to have some humanity. And if I don't expect that, then what's the point of being alive?
Yep.
Like, if people can't have the decency to like actually just be humans, it's just, it's bizarro. You
know what I do, right? Well, first of all, I'll like,
I know.
I go after people on Twitch, but on YouTube, I pin comments that are like haters, like angry, and it's backfired because now people will write hate.
Yeah.
To
they want to get pinned. Yeah.
But I'm pretty good at like identifying what kind of an account would pipe up and actually be writing hate or something stupid. The problem is that, like I said, now a year later, everybody is kind of sitting around going, it's a fake hate comment. And so now this kind of thing. But
I want to get my bingo card, my Levy pinned comment bingo card.
One day, on the second channel, that's what it's going to be. I'm going to read my favorite hate comments. I've gotten some crazy emails too. It's obviously back to this. Obviously worse as a woman. It's not even close.
No, you're fine. I don't think you're fine. I'm not people, this guy. You don't know. You don't get it. You're fine.
People will say awful things. For the record, though, the only interactions I've had in person have been overwhelmingly positive. So, right, that's the good. I don't know about you, but I hope they've been positive.
Yeah, I have never been recognized in public without like the premise of Ludwig.
You mean when they recognize you, Ludwig's there, or they say something about
both of those things? So number one, I've never like we will go to the gas station and Ludwig will get recognized, or like Crate and Barrel, or literally anywhere and Ludwig gets recognized. I've never been like, no one's looked at me and been like, "Oh, are you QTCinderella?" And
there was the clip, they didn't recognize Austin, right? From his own show. Yeah, that was funny.
It's like, I never get like stopped not on stream, because when you're streaming, like there's stream snipers and blah, 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 but I've never been stopped not on stream. And then I went to Disney one day with Ludwig, and then I went to California Adventure the next day without Ludwig. And every single person that stopped me was like, "Where's Ludwig?" Like disappointed. I'm sorry.
That kind of sucks.
Yeah, it does, but it's okay.
See that, like the art of, but it's okay. That's an art form. Like I
it took a while. It honestly took a while to learn. I think you and I have a lot of the same like traits when it comes to like anger, and like I feel like you and I are both very headstrong, and there's a lot of things like, I want to represent myself. I want to make a name for myself, but it is important because he is my partner and I support him, and and he is special. And he deserves to have this following, and that is just a benefit for him. And even if it affects me negatively at times, it's okay, because I've chosen to be in this partnership, and so it's okay if I have to deal with that.
Yeah. In many ways, it's almost nice. I'm in New York City. No one wants to talk to me here. Nobody wants to. I mean, I in terms of like getting spotted on the street, it's happened, but for the most part, like. Yeah, there's very few hangouts, and there's very few, at least not that I'm aware of. To that end, I will say everyone in chess has been signed, basically. I've never even been approached.
Hey, I tried.
I know.
On
yeah.
Gen G, I tried.
Yeah, you guys should all know that QT was one of the first who reached out internally to Gen G, and I'll never know what it is, and I'm totally okay with it, but it's definitely like a spot.
I don't get it. I really don't get it. I think it's such a
they signed Minx,
such a fumble.
so it's not that I'm a brand risk.
No,
they sign
you're
Minx.
not a brand mix. I don't know what it is. I really don't know what it is. You're not a brand. I don't.
We had
I
a
don't get it.
theory. We had a theory that I can only tell you off podcast.
Okay.
Let's
All
put
right,
it this
yeah.
way.
I think have you tried like putting it sounds like so like beneath you. Like, like, oh, I have to do this, but have you tried putting a portfolio together and pitching yourself to orgs?
No, definitely
Because
not.
all of us as content creators, we assume that an org would approach us, right? But sometimes you just got to sell yourself.
Yeah, that's one thing that I haven't done just because I'm
so busy all the time.
I'm working on a lot of things right now. But
I think you could get an org in a heartbeat if you just put yourself out there.
Well, you know what? That'll be my homework. I'm gonna talk to my agents. I got a couple of stupid YouTube plugs. I mean, great YouTube plugs that I have to
yes.
put. The podcast isn't sponsored yet, but on my main channel
soon.
And then maybe we'll do this. But there was, I think, like maybe one or two other subjects floating around. I'm forgetting one of them now. But mental health was one, which I think a lot of people would benefit from hearing.
Yeah.
We talked about, do you remember what we talked about when we were talking during Twitch Rivals, when we were getting, when they were throwing the game, the draw so that we wouldn't qualify?
Yeah, that was so rude.
We like just bantered, and I don't
remember.
Yeah, I maybe social stuff, like social anxiety or just anxiety, period. It was funny when I was writing you information about the podcast. I didn't answer one of your questions, and Lucy was like watching me type, and she was like, "Dude, answer her question so she's not like anxious. Like you don't understand how girls work. Like you answered one of her 3 questions." And I was like,
Dude,
"Oh, I'm
I love Lucy. I feel like the soul. I've never even met Lucy, but I feel soul link with Lucy. I love her.
When you threatened to get her on your podcast,
Housewives,
I was really scared.
It's in a bit of a intermittent pause right now because people have been moving and stuff like that, but once we get it up and running, Lucy's still on the list. It'll be great. It'll be so fun. I'm working on a cookbook right now, actually. And someone that I was most excited to send it to when it's done is Lucy, actually, because you talked about how she liked watching the baking streams. Yeah,
she would be psyched.
Yeah,
that would be awesome. You are one of the few people who I would give my address to.
Yeah, well,
I also have a P.O. box not far away, but yeah, that's fine. We have a doorman, so. But
stop me.
In New York City, it's just like our cops, man. It's if you look a certain way, they're gonna let you up. They're not gonna stop you.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, it's just the way of life. Back in the day, I lived in a building and I had a Paraguayan friend. He was just the wrong skin tone. He was always stopped. He was in that building 100 times. They knew where he was going. It did every time. God. I had a white friend in every time. Didn't even look at them. Just walk right through. So it's.
That's so upsetting.
Yeah. So if anybody from India wants to visit, be prepared to stop.
Oh my God.
It's like for the viewers or listeners, you should check out the clip on YouTube, the Family Guy clip of the skin tone. It's when Peter is crossing Border Patrol and the Border Patrol guy takes out a little stick, and Peter is in the top 3 and is allowed in, and it's kind of like that. Listen,
America's embarrassing.
It's very bad. It's very bad. I just retweeted earlier Rand Paul saying that COVID is spreading because the Democrats are letting in kids at the border who have COVID, and we are trying to spread the variants. It's a border issue. It's not. For sure. Yeah. It's not a state's issue. Yeah. You don't talk a lot about politics though, right?
You know, what's interesting is I do a lot.
Oh.
And when you were talking about like using your platform for the right things and talk about the right things is, or like Republicans buy sneakers too, essentially. Mm-hmm. That was one of the things during the last election where I was literally had like 30K viewers, and I was like, you have to tell them who you're voting for. I was like, you are not allowed to play, like you're not allowed to sit in the middle, you're not allowed to do anything. And he was pretty uncomfortable, but he did it. And I was like, that's my guy, like, because it's just, it's important. It's very important to talk about these things because
Yep.
otherwise I have a platform. It might not be the biggest, but if it helps give perspective, then I'm going to do it. So
I have a lot of views on a lot of things, and I don't get into all of them. I get into things like, go out and get vaccinated, idiot.
Yes, I think that's very important.
Unless you can't, in the sense that you don't have access or you're potentially immunocompromised, in which case but yeah, I mean, people faking COVID passports, like stuff like that, it's just
get vaccinated.
I
had to convince my sister is my favorite one because she
As
got
a
COVID.
warning, this part of the podcast, when it gets listened to, the YouTube comments are going to explode. So if you're listening to this and you haven't been vaccinated and you have no desire to do so,
just do it.
You're falling into the trap. You're going to go comment something now, and then I'm going to shadow ban you from my YouTube channel. And you're never going to know because you're also shadow banned on my main, but you think you're not. Anyway, proceed. Sorry.
My sister got COVID and does not believe in COVID. She was like, "Oh, it wasn't that bad. It was a cold." And I was like, "Well, that's because you're lucky." But the issue is that has now encouraged none of my family to get vaccinated besides myself. But I've slowly talked. My dad is now vaccinated. I think my brother is getting vaccinated. But as my brother was like, "I'm setting up my vaccination appointment," my brother-in-law was like, "I can't believe you're falling for that." I was like, "Falling for what? It's science." Like,
oh, it's rough. It's rough. My grandparents, a lot of older Russians are Republican because they have their reasons. We're not gonna go too crazy, but they got vaccinated like ASAP, and they still are wearing masks in stores. They are still, they don't want this
scary.
thing.
I don't want it.
They believe in it. They believe in science too. Good for them.
You can still get it. Like, it's very scary. I don't
know why we're so, but that's one thing that I'm very outspoken about, the women's thing. It's not rocket science. I just got a book, and it's a book about urbanization and how we built societies, like everything from highways and bridges based on race. So one thing that I saw was that one of the earliest designers of New York City would build overpasses on highways at a certain height, so public transportation would not be able to take people from poor neighborhoods to the outer parts of New York, like the beaches.
Oh my God, that's fascinating.
Yeah, some crazy stuff. I forgot. Here, let me. It's in my Amazon orders.
Yeah, I love books like that. Actually, I love history. I love learning about why people thought a certain way. Like, I've been really into autobiographies recently.
Yeah. The Color of Law.
That's what it's called.
Yeah.
I have a sticky note. I'm gonna write that down.
I'm really excited. It gets here today. It got delivered. Okay, great.
Yay.
I'm gonna start. I don't read a lot, obviously, because I'm so busy. No, I'm just a lazy sloth. But highly recommend. And I really want to find stuff I want to find time for stuff like that, because on a day-to-day at this point, it's like wake up, workout. Every day it's a YouTube video, sometimes two. Now it's also clips, and then we're building a chess thing. That's all I'm gonna say. And but that's kind of why I started the podcast, because I get to just talk for 2 hours and find things out about people, like their Mormon background or their life. And I feel like it's just interesting, because I'm not gonna lie, making a chess video every day, it's not the most exciting thing in the world. But
I believe that. Stopping your day from becoming Groundhog Day. That's the goal.
Yeah, you're working on a cookbook. That's sick.
Yeah, I'm always working on a new thing.
You're working on it, and then you're gonna put it together and propose it, or you got a deal already?
I don't have a deal. I was just gonna do it myself through Amazon. I'm sure I could look for a deal.
But
yeah, I was just gonna self-publish. I don't know if I want to wait to like find a publisher and all that stuff. I already have a copyright or a person doing the under copywriting.
I don't know.
I don't know.
I have no idea. My mom's getting a book out on waste and trash.
That's very cool.
I will send you a copy in return for the
cookbook. It's all sweets. It's all sweets. It's all there's just not enough cookbooks that are just basics, you know.
If diabetes, heart disease, and cancer were not a thing, I would only eat sweets. Only eat sweets. It's really bad, and I'm very easily triggered, and I just have like moments at 11 p.m. I'm like, I need cookies now. I will kill someone if I don't receive them. So we probably should, and then we'll end up going to a deli that's open 24 hours and buying like Oreos or.
That is a nice thing about New York, is everything's open.
Yes, that's definitely one of the positives. Speaking of eating, my girlfriend and I are quite hungry, and it's dinner time.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we should sign off. Before we sign off, is there anything that we haven't talked about you'd like to get out there?
No, I just hope, okay, we talked about some pretty heavy things, and I feel like hopefully this wasn't an overall like pessimistic podcast, because were we complaining too much? I hope not.
No.
Okay,
no,
good.
I think people, we are people, and people subscribe to us, and and they watch us, but yeah, we're people too. We have problems, and that's why, like, I ran 3.5 miles today for the first time in my life. I've never run anywhere that amount.
That's a lot.
It's a lot. And so I tweeted, I was like, yo, it just happens sometimes, man. Like, you just got to be consistent. And I try to apply parts of my journey to getting stronger and lifting more or running more to the general public, because people listen to us, because now we have certain positions.
It's weird. They don't. Yeah, it's weird. But I think overall, no matter all the things we complain about, I can speak for myself and Levy here to say that we are both very, very grateful for everything we have, and what an amazing opportunity we both have, and we're both so lucky. There's a lot of negatives that come with the job, and there's a lot of negatives in the world, but man, we are so lucky. And yeah, I'm grateful. I'm grateful for you guys for even supporting my friend Levy by listening to this podcast.
I know, right? If they made it, as I always say, like in some videos, I'm 30 minutes in, 40. I'm like, if you made it this far, you're the best. Like,
if you made it this far, comment "butterflies are the best" in the comments. Then we'll know who the real ones are, and everyone else will be really confused.
They can't comment on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or Google, but if you heard that, you now need to go to YouTube, and you gotta be like, hey, guys, it takes like a minute. Just
whisper "butterfly are the best."
Go type in Gotham City on YouTube,
and then hit that sub button.
Yeah, so I can get another silver button. I'll have 2 silver buttons. Yeah, the guy broke in but didn't steal my gold button. That's been like a joke that everyone said. Do you have any charities you support? I want to start doing a thing where, if not, then I can edit it in after. But
Alveus is one of my favorite charities. It's an animal sanctuary in Texas, run by an amazing woman named Maya Higa, who's dedicated most of her life to animals.
Oh, yeah, Maya. Yep.
I love Alveus. And then, of course, I'm a big animal sucker. So Best Friends Society, Humane Society, anything like that. It's a great place to throw your money.
Okay. Well, I'm going to record probably a separate outro, but
no worries.
If you want to say bye, you can say bye. This was a lot of fun.
Guys.
I think we talked about a lot of good stuff.
I had fun. I appreciate everyone here. Thank you for having me.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
And if you made it this far in the show, I just want to thank you from the bottom of my heart. I always like to include these in my YouTube videos. And if you're watching on YouTube, you do get to see me on camera. If you're watching on any of the other platforms, you'll just have to listen to the sound of my voice. But thank you once again for your continued support. Do let me know in the comments or anywhere else your thoughts and any future guests that you would like to see. I don't have a Patreon currently. It's only episode 2, but I'm available to be supported on donation links on Twitch and YouTube and things of that nature. And you can also check out some of my chess courses. They are on my website. Till next time, I hope you enjoy, and I'll see you soon back in Gotham City.